Okay, we're live. Welcome, Claire.
Hi.
Hi. So just as an intro to all the mums in the members group, Claire is an accredited practicing dietitian, and she calls herself a non-diet dietitian, which she's going to talk about a bit more later. And Claire and I have got to know each other because we both work a lot in this population with pregnant women and new mums. So Claire particularly specialises in the area of helping women gain a healthy relationship with food. And as far as that perinatal period goes, Claire is also a volunteer breastfeeding counsellor, which means that she has a large proportion of the women that she helps and manages through her work are in that period, like we are. So welcome, Claire.
Thank you for having me.
Can we start with what does your life look like at the moment? I know you have kids about the same age as me. What's your life like?
So hectic. So I've got two little ones. Maeve is 3.5. She's at pre-kindy today. And I've got Hugh, who is 20 months, and he's currently watching some Bluey. So we're going to cross our fingers that entertains him. He might wander up.
Claire just had to go and get some more snacks.
I did. Had to refill the snacks.
Yeah.
So I'm a part-time working mum, so I'm working 2 days a week at the moment, and the days that I'm not working,
Claire, I just lost your sound. Oh, it's come back.
Oh, that's okay. My earpods probably dropped out.
Yeah, your sound is going on and off. That's better.
So home life for me just looks like go full on, as it does when you've got two young children.
I hear you. And then what does work life look like? I know that you've fairly recently started your own working for yourself.
Life is wonderful.
Yeah.
So yes, I have my own private practice in Fremantle, which I work 2 days a week. I'm hoping to add a third day very soon because the demand is there. I just have to organise my childcare arrangements. And that's, I mostly do one-on-one nutrition coaching sessions with people. I do also do education events and things like this one, or going to talk to community groups, schools, about, non-diet nutrition or body image, or, a whole range of different things. But it's mostly one with people, which I love.
Yes, and when you're working out of Freo, just plug the name of your clinic, name of your practice.
My practice is Diet Free Me, and I am on all of the socials. You can look at my Instagram account at Diet Free Me. I also have a free to join private Facebook group, Non-Diet Healthy Eaters, which you can join and connect with our community. We've got about 60, close to 70 people in there at the moment. You can have a look at my website, dietfreeme.com.au, if you're interested, and there's an ebook on there that you can download if you want to kind of get started with a bit of a do-it-yourself approach.
Let's link all that, Claire. We'll after we finish talking, we'll link all of it. And just so you all know, I'm adding Claire to the group as well as an honorary FitRight Mums member. So if now or in the future you have any questions about nutrition and dietetics and body image and anything we go through today, or anything you think Claire could help with, I will be able to tag Claire in your questions so that she can answer, which is great. Thank you, Claire. So tell us, why would most people come to see you in your clinic? Why do people get referred?
Yeah. So people, most people at the moment actually seek me out because of the specific approach that I do. These are usually women. I've got a few male clients, one non-binary client. Most of them are women who are dissatisfied with their body shape or their weight, feeling disconnected from their body in terms of knowing what it needs, how to respond, and maybe experiencing sort of a bit of a history of dieting, or multiple kind of weight loss attempts that haven't really got them where they expected to get to. So they often come to see me because they know that what they've been doing in the past hasn't worked for them, and they want to try something a little bit different, something that's focused more on kind of long-term feeling happier, feeling healthier in themselves, and more confident about being able to give their body what it needs without feeling restricted and sort of restrained or locked into a one size fits all kind of thing.
Yes, and I know that when we were talking before, Claire spoke to the FitRight professional ed group, so health and fitness professionals, the other night, and one of the main things that I came away with from that was you talking about the fact that BMI has always, like, traditionally been one of the biggest indicators that us health professionals would look at for health. And you were talking about the fact that BMI is, there's a lot of evidence that really shouldn't be the biggest indicator for healthy outcomes. So can you expand on that a little bit?
Oh, love to. It's a topic that's very close to my heart. So 10 years ago when I was at university, it was very much a concern about obesity and the links between obesity and chronic health conditions, and that the higher above that sort of healthy weight range someone was, the more likely they were to develop chronic health conditions. And so a lot of the interventions that we as dietitians sort of learned about and had in our toolkit were focused on helping people to achieve and maintain a healthy weight. Flash forward sort of 10 years, and now what we understand is that the relationship between weight and health is far more complex than what we previously understood, and that actually a lot of the weight science that we have that has been done is deeply flawed. And when we start to unpack it, we can see things like, okay, well, in this population group, they didn't actually control for this thing. So how can they be sure that these health benefits that they were seeing were actually due to the weight loss, or were they due to the fact that they were eating more fruits and veggies, or they were doing more physical activity? How do we know? Because weight isn't a behaviour. It's not something that we choose to do. Weight is something that is influenced by behaviours, some of which are in our control, but we know that actually largely weight is influenced by things that are outside our control. So when we talk about BMI not being a great measure of health, it is also important to know that it was always intended as a proxy measure of body fatness. It was developed, way hundreds of years ago by a statistician, and he based his sample on white European men, and it was a very small sample. So straight away we can think, okay, well, people who don't fall into that group, how well designed is this tool for those population groups? But it's only really since the insurance companies in the kind of 60s and 70s began publishing tables that linked, risk of early death to BMI, so that they could charge higher premiums for people at higher weights, that it began to be adopted so widely as this accepted proxy measure.
That's interesting. Oh gosh.
Long history to the BMI.
Oh wow. That's very interesting. And
but it's what we now understand is that the things that have more impact on someone's long-term health, their long-term likelihood of an early death, are actually health-related behaviours. And there was a really interesting study which was published in 2012, which I'm happy to share with you if there's anyone who's interested in that kind of thing, which showed the comparison between people who engaged in 1, 2, 3 or 4 key health behaviours, which were eating fruits and veggies, being physically active, minimal alcohol intake, and avoiding cigarette smoking. Those 4 behaviours, they showed that regardless of your BMI category, so whether you were assigned healthy weight, overweight or obese, the more health behaviours you engaged in, the lower your risk of dying early. And actually, someone who is in the obese category and engaging in all 4 of those key health behaviours has a lower likelihood of early death than someone who's in the healthy weight category and only engaging in 1 of those behaviours. So from that, what we can take away is 2 things. Firstly, that we can't tell how healthy someone is internally just by looking at them. We know that someone could be in a large body and be really healthy. They could be engaging in lots of really positive health-promoting behaviours, both physical health and mental health, which you don't know until you actually sit down and talk to someone. But number 2, if someone is concerned about their health, then encouraging them to engage in those healthful behaviours is going to have benefit for them no matter what size they are.
And is that where that health at every size that you were talking about?
Yeah, so I have adopted a model of care to my practice, which is called Health at Every Size. I'm recognised as a Health at Every Size or HAYS expert by the Association for Size, Diversity and Health. I'm also a verified HAYS provider with HAYS Australia. And so what this is about is, how can we support people, no matter what size they're at, to engage in healthful behaviours. And anything they can do has benefit, rather than seeing weight loss as the gateway to health.
Yeah, I know. I on Tuesday night when you were talking to us and you were saying about people like waiting until they get to a certain size or how they look before they engage in something, or I really appreciate what you're saying about that you can make a difference with healthy behaviours right from any point rather than waiting.
That's really important, because I think there is a lot of stigma attached to weight, and this is recognised, that weight stigma in itself, so the negative experiences that people have of living in a larger body, really good research has come out recently to show that weight stigma in itself influences physical and mental health. So if we sort of backtrack to thinking about some of those studies, which earlier studies which maybe showed a link or a correlation between higher weight and higher likelihood of diabetes, for example. Correlation doesn't imply causation, biostats 101 on that. But now what we're beginning to ask is, well, how much of that association is actually due to those people's experience of weight stigma? And we know that weight stigma increases inflammation, it increases cortisol, it demotivates people from engaging in healthful behaviours, it demotivates them from going and seeing their doctor. So there are lots of things now that we're beginning to question and saying, hey, things that we kind of took for granted, it's a lot more nuanced than that. And let's treat people as individual people, focusing on what they've got capacity to do realistically with all of the other things going on in their life, rather than sort of the first measure of, okay, we put you in this BMI category, and then we're going to make all of these assumptions about your health based on where we've assigned you.
Yeah, really interesting. So let's talk about food now and eating. What would be considered healthy eating, like if we're talking about the postnatal period? And do you think that is the same as what people maybe think healthy eating is?
really interesting, because I always ask this question to my clients when they start talking about wanting to eat healthier or saying that they know they need to eat healthier. My standard response to that is always, okay, well, what does healthy eating mean for you? And they'll often come back with things like more fruits and veggies, more whole grains, less fat, cut out the junk food, smaller portion sizes, all of the things that I guess most people would associate with healthy eating, the standard stuff. And I'll put my hand up and say the standard stuff that I used to pass on to my clients as a new grad dietitian before I underwent further training and understanding about non-diet nutrition instead. And there are lots of, none of those things are inherently wrong. I mean, we all know the benefits of including fruits and veggies and choosing high fiber foods and all those sorts of things. But where I feel the message is lost is that healthy eating tends to be about, healthy eating that people understand as healthy eating often focuses on what needs to be subtracted from your eating. So less sugar, less fat, less junk food, that sort of thing. Whereas non-diet nutrition is about what can I add to my eating to maximize the opportunity to provide my body with the nutrients it needs. So I can have all the foods that I enjoy eating, chocolate and cake and biscuits and all those kind of things. I don't actually have to take them out. They have their place because true healthy eating, the way that I understand it and other non-diet dietitians understand it, is recognizing that we eat food for so many reasons beyond just providing nutrients for our body. So if we were so focused on removing some of these foods that have a purpose aside from nutrition, we're actually denying people the full experience of food and eating that is normal. Food is part of how we celebrate. It connects us to our culture, to our loved ones. It's a source of comfort for us. So we don't want to treat all food as bad or unhealthy just because it doesn't fit within the parameters of a nourishing food that our body needs. So I guess to sort of put a very broad term to this, I would class true healthy eating as healthy eating that is flexible, it's intuitive, as in it's guided by what your body is communicating to you rather than what the time is or what the meal plan says. And it is respectful of physical health and mental health. And that, I think, is the key thing that is missing from a lot of the nutrition advice provided to new mums. And this, I back this up by what I see when new mums come to me, is that they know all the stuff about eating for good health and eating for physical health. Most people do. Every time that someone said, "Oh, I know what I should be doing, I'm just not doing it."
What do you think in that postnatal period are the main things that stop people eating? I was going to say eating healthy, but eating like you said, intuitively and in a way that it would be best for their health.
So what we understand is that the things that can disconnect us from our natural intuitive state, and by that I mean we are all born intuitive eaters. If you think about a baby, when they're breastfeeding, or if they're feeding from another means, they have no understanding of what the time is or when their last feed was or how much milk their last feed was or how much milk they need a day. All they know is, okay, my tummy's empty, needs food. I've got to communicate that so I can get food. They will feed until they've had enough and then they'll stop. Particularly for a breastfed baby, you can't overfeed them. They'll take what they need. So our bodies have all of the internal regulatory mechanisms needed to make sure we get enough nutrition and not too much and the right kinds. But as we get older, we become disconnected from that by things like diet culture, which kind of tells us to override our natural hunger and fullness signals out of a fear of gaining too much weight or any of those kind of things. So by the time you get to a mum who's had a baby and she's experienced some really big changes to her body, and her body doesn't look the way it used to look before, and there's a lot of pressure on that mum to lose the baby weight, get back to healthy body, to be a positive role model for her kids, and all of these pressures that just weigh down on mums in terms of body image. It's no wonder that I see mums coming to me just running themselves to the ground, getting burnt out by trying to do all of the things that they've been told they should do, yet at the same time not having the capacity to do it because they're sleep deprived, because they've got tiny little humans that need all their attention, because their body is recovering from birth. There are changes to their relationship. There might be changes to their mental health, all kinds of things. So it's really a disconnection between expectations placed on new mums and realistically what their capacity is.
Yeah. I was just wondering at that point, Claire, and just wondering, all those who are watching live, there's a few people watching live, just if you're watching live, just make sure you jump in and ask any questions of Claire about this, because I want to make sure I answer all the questions of those who are watching live and watching later. But I just thought in particular, I'd like to know if any of the mums watching live have questions about, like, I don't know, what a day in
wrangle my toddler who's broken through the baby gate.
Oh dear. About what would look
up table. It's just his go-to.
Oh dear.
Sorry, everyone.
Hello. I heard you watching Bluey. I heard the Bluey sound.
Yeah.
It's in there.
Yeah.
He's so cute. Cool.
Right for my makeup table. He loves pulling the cap off my primer bottle. And saying, Hugh. Yeah, come on, Dad. Sorry, everyone.
That's okay. Mum life.
Mum life. Yes, absolutely. I'm back.
You're back.
If anyone has any questions, please feel free to interject.
Yes. And then I think, as well as like the questions that I was wondering if anyone had were on like their experience and what it actually would look like for them to incorporate healthy eating into their daily life when what we might actually end up doing is missing meals because of kids and just picking off kids' plates and then not really knowing if we're full or not full, or I don't know. It's a bit of a mess.
You've touched on all of the things that show up, and this is what I was kind of getting at, this kind of disconnection in that they become, people feel really disconnected from knowing, what does my body need? How do I respond to those needs in a way that makes me feel good? How can I trust my body to tell me when it's hungry, how hungry I am, when I've had enough, all of those sorts of things, because brains are just so focused on everything else that we're dealing with that it's really hard to tune into our own bodies. How to sit down and eat a meal peacefully and eat it, mindfully when you've got toddlers and kids, and it's sort of like, I've got 2 minutes to scramble and eat my breakfast. I've got to do daycare drop off.
I've got a question here for you, Claire. It actually apologies to who has asked this, because it just comes up saying Facebook user on my thing. As someone who feels really time poor right now, toddler, working full-time, PhD, what's a small first step to start being healthier? Would you recommend starting by trying to add healthier foods in, or starting with scheduling in more movement? I find I try to go from unhealthy to totally healthy, perfect, and then can't keep up at that level. That's exactly what that's like the ultimate, exactly what I picture, and I think what you said too. So first step.
Facebook user, you were not alone.
Find out their name.
You are describing what I see in my mums that come and talk to me. They often sit down and they have a really good cry, which can be very therapeutic for people, because the burnout is such a problem. And the first thing I say in wanting to be healthier is cut yourself some slack. Because it is 100% okay if health isn't the priority now. I always say health is not an obligation. You are in no way obliged to be demonstrating health. If you've got other stuff going on in your life, totally fine. As a clinician, I would never judge someone if they said, look, I know eating healthfully is important. It's not my priority now. I've got all these other things going on. I'd say, great, good that you've got that insight to recognize that pushing yourself to do something at max is just going to cause you to burn out. So having a really realistic idea of what is my capacity, and if I'm constantly cycling from trying to do everything right 100% and then I can't maintain that to then crashing down to zero, that is exhausting, and it's actually not the most sort of healthful thing for your physical health or your mental health. So what coach my mums to think about is what is the realistic level for you to be working at right now in this very short time of your life, and maybe your capacity to focus on this with everything else in your life is 20%, 30%, 40%, whatever it is. We think about, okay, what can I do right now that is going to help me feel good? It might not be everything that I could do, everything that I would want to do for myself, but it's what's realistically, achievable, and it's what I can maintain. So that's what I talk about with people, and this often comes from asking them, what is it that you're hoping losing weight will do for you? What is it that you want? What is it that you want to feel? And exploring how can we action those things directly. If you want to feel fitter, if you want to have more energy, that's something that you can improve in a relatively short period of time with doing some more physical activity. That doesn't have to come from losing 20 kilos. And thinking about what's something that you could do that you also enjoy. So sure, you could go out and go running 5 days a week. Wonderful. A, is it realistic you're actually going to be able to do that? And B, is that something enjoyable for you? Something that you might prefer is maybe to go out and go for a walk along the beach or something. So it's a very long-winded response. Sorry.
Well, I guess I'm thinking about it. It's Hannah, by the way. I looked it up on Facebook. It's Hannah. Hi, Hannah. Like from my point of view, with the exercise side of it and the movement side of it, I have tried to cut little workouts down into 10 or 15 minute chunks, which feel a little bit more doable, or, knowing that going for a 5-10 minute walk around the block, if that's all your toddler will allow you to do, is better than nothing. And those little bite-sized pieces. So I guess a first step like that with regards to food.
Yeah. So the first things that I'd be looking at is getting a really clear understanding of what your eating pattern looks like to start with, in terms of not just what you're eating, but even more importantly, why are you eating, how are you eating, and how are you feeling about your eating? Because most of the work that I do, we actually tackle the sort of eating context, the relationship to eating first, rather than diving straight in with looking at changes to what someone's eating.
Yes. Okay. That makes sense.
The analogy of kind of like an iceberg, in that what we eat is the small bit that we see above the surface. But underneath all of that is things like, am I eating for hunger? Am I eating for other reasons? Does my eating make me feel guilty or ashamed? Am I recognizing, how my body's feeling? Can I respond to that? All of those things that really are actually much more important to someone's long-term relationship with food and their body than
eating actual food. Yeah. Let's move on to body image, Claire. So what, like, do you have any anything to any pearls of wisdom or any overarching things about body image and what the difference between body positivity is and some other versions that might be a bit more achievable?
Yeah. So body positivity had a real moment, and it still is having a bit of a moment. What we realised is that for someone who is maybe starting from a position of really feeling dissatisfied with their body, just no love for their body at all, have a lot of negative thoughts about that, the idea of being body positive or loving your body, embracing your body, may just feel so far off that it's not attainable. And that can make people kind of switch off from the idea of there being another way of feeling about their body. So rather than chasing body positivity, what I sort of support my clients to think about is what being at peace with their body would look like instead. So it might not be, I love my body, it's so great. It might be, well, I'm working on that relationship, and I've kind of got a truce going that might not love my body, but I agree to at least not say unkind things or to treat my body with disrespect or those sorts of things as a bit of an intermediary. So that can look like becoming aware of those times when you are saying hurtful things about yourself, looking in the mirror, if you're having those thoughts, or if you're doing any body checking around, pinching or grabbing or squeezing, or sucking in, or any of those sorts of things. Just as a gentle prompt, asking yourself, is what I'm doing right now kind? Is that a helpful thing for me if I want to have a healthy relationship with you? And if the answer is no, it's probably not, it's not actually that kind, then saying, okay, what's something I could do instead? Or maybe I need to step away from the mirror now and do something that shows my body that I do want to care for it and I do hold value for myself. And that concept of value is really important because there's this prevailing myth that in order to feel better about our body, we have to look better. Lose weight and then you'll feel better about yourself. It's the promise that's sold to us by the diet industry, who spend billions of dollars every year trying to suck us in to buy their products. Weight loss pills, books, apps, all of those kind of things. They benefit us feeling bad about our bodies. We don't benefit. Oh yes, you agree, Dee. Just diving in there. So if we can focus instead on building value in ourselves, independent of what we look like, then that is all the motivation we need to take care of ourselves.
Yes.
Because we know that there are lots of people who feel really unhappy with their bodies and may present in a body that many people might be really jealous of and think, well, why do you feel bad about your body? You're thin, you're white, you're blonde-haired, you're all of these things. So body dissatisfaction isn't something that magically goes away from losing weight. And what's really, I guess, important to understand with this is that whenever you try and intentionally lose weight, the actual long-term outcome is weight gain. So even if losing weight helps someone feel better about their body, how are they going to feel when they gain that weight back and a little bit more? They're likely to feel worse about their body. So then we get stuck in this cycle of weight loss, weight gain and back, and so over and over with those multiple weight loss attempts, people feel worse and worse and worse about themselves. And that's what I see. Women come to me in their 50s, 60s, even their 70s saying, oh, I wish I was the body size that I was when I first thought I was fat, because I wasn't fat. There's nothing wrong with me. And a lifetime of dieting and trying to lose weight has led me to this point now where I feel absolutely wretched with myself.
Claire, can I share with you a couple of things that you said in the other talk that I thought as you said them were helpful to me and might be helpful to the FitRight mums as well.
Yeah, sure.
So two like tips that I've taken away from you. One of them was to go through your social media feed and pick and unfollow anybody who you realise is not making you feel good about your own body in any way. And I gave you the example of somebody that I had unfollowed because although I really liked her and I had a professional relationship with her and she has a huge number of followers, but she was posting workouts that were things like, flabby arm workout, or like get rid of the mum tum workout, or the belly pooch workout, or things like that. And I just thought that doesn't make me feel good about myself, especially when she's doing these, in a bikini, crop top and tight pants, and her tummy looks amazing, and I'm like, oh, I don't feel good about that, so unfollow. So that would be one of my tips for maybe to take away after watching this, is go through your social media channels and see if there's anybody that doesn't make you feel good and unfollow them. And then the other thing you said, which I took away, was have a think about one thing or more things that your body can do that you're happy that it can do. Like, I can't remember what the example you gave was, but I was thinking about it yesterday when I had both kids at home. Yeah, your arms. You love your strong arms. And I was thinking that about myself, like with my legs. I was like, I had Benji on my back and Ruby wanted to be picked up, and I was kneeling down and I could stand up with both of them. And I was like, my legs can do that. Like, that's a lot of load to lift, and my legs can do that. And so maybe those are two things, if you're watching this and you can take away. Have a look at your social media feed and think about what your body can do that you're happy with it doing. Just as a starting point.
Yeah, and that's a big part of actually what a positive body image is appreciating your body independent of what it looks like, and having that inner sense of self-worth related to, I'm an okay person regardless of what my body looks like. I still have value. And so one of the ways that we can encourage that value is by appreciating our body for what it does for us, what it has done for us in the past, and what it can do. So I've got chunky arms and I have no qualms about that, because I love the fact that they're muscly and they're strong, and I can pick up my toddler and my child and carry them both at the same time. And so anytime I'm sort of tempted to go, oh, my fat arms, maybe I shouldn't do this, it's no, thank you, arms, for being able to do this for me. My Maeve, who's 3.5, she calls it doing two babies. She's always like, Mum, do two babies, which means she wants me to pick her up and her brother and carry her around. So having that gratitude is really important. And what you're saying before about curating your social media feed, so important, because the more we can surround ourselves with positive examples of bodies at different sizes, different colors, different shapes, different abilities, that diversity of bodies which naturally exists out there, we need to surround ourselves with that, rather than the really narrowed version of what the current idealized body is. Fantastic Instagram account that I love. It's called 300 Pounds and Running. And it's a guy in the US who is in a large body, and he posts just really short sort of videos of him doing different workouts to say, hey, people in large bodies can do these same things that people only think smaller bodies can do. I can run marathons. I can do these exercises. I can do this. And I'm working on feeling good in my body, feeling fit, feeling strong, independent of what my body actually looks like.
Yes.
So, those kind of people, Body Posi Panda, her real name is Megan Crab. She posts wonderful, beautiful photos of her in and just loving her body and appreciating it and going, yeah, you know, I've got these roles, I've got this, and that's totally normal. So we need to be seeing the kind of stuff that makes us feel good. And one thing that maybe some people watching might be thinking is, yeah, but don't I need inspiration, or don't I need, you know, motivation to want to change or to want to be better? And maybe these, you know, inspiration people, that's what they're giving me. And to that, I just gently encourage you to think about how it actually makes you feel to see that person, you know, that person in a thin, toned body, you know, doing these exercises or eating these foods. Is that motivating for you, or is that actually shaming? Because we know that shame is a real demotivator. Far from shame inspiring us to change, it actually really causes us to disengage. Mm-hmm. So instead, if we can focus on things that help us feel good, or help us show the possibility of, yeah, I can be this kind of body and still be happy, still be sexy, still be active, all of these things, none of that is off limits to me.
Yeah.
To my body, the more we can have that in our life, the better we're going to feel about ourselves.
Yes. There's a couple of extra questions that have come up, which we might just try and answer briefly, and then you could type more of an answer later. Especially with Hannah's got another question about PCOS, which I think might we could touch on it now quickly, but maybe I could tag you in this video after, and you could answer more about it for Hannah after. Joanna says, I lost muscle during my pregnancy and I can't pick up my older kid, but my arms are awesome for the cuddles they give on the couch. Yeah. Joanna, I love that.
Beautiful. Because if we would ask your kids, you know, what do you think about mummy's arms? Are they going to say, oh, you know, they're a bit flabby, or I wish they were more sleek or toned? No, they're probably going to say, mummy gives me really good cuddles, or squishy and comfortable, or you know, they appreciate about you, and so that's what you can.
And we were talking about Sabina McKenzie's Instagram page, and as another one to follow. We can link all of these after as well. Yeah. But she has twin girls about the same age as my daughter. And I love what she posts about just making sure that what you're saying about your own body isn't like what your daughters might be thinking, or your kids might be thinking about that, and how that might influence them in years to come, and just being very aware of that as part of this picture as well. And also another recommendation would also suggest people check out Mirna Valerio, the Mirnovator. She's a trail runner from the US with a larger body who's absolutely amazing. Awesome. Great, awesome. Put all these in. So Hannah asked about women with PCOS. Any tips on how to manage that better? I've been told aiming for a low-carb, high-fat way of eating can be useful. Yeah, maybe just a summary before we finish up.
Do my best. Yes, I actually have several clients at the moment with PCOS. Low carb, high fat, not essential and not likely to promote a healthful relationship with food. Understanding how your body might handle carbohydrates differently to someone without PCOS, relating to your insulin, that can be a really important part of understanding what helps your body feel good. And that is what it's about. No one size fits all advice. It's discovering, you know, what helps my body feel good, and how can I better connect with my body. Julie Duffy-Dillon, she is a dietitian from the US. She is the PCOS in a weight neutral field guru. I think she's called Food Peace Dietitian. I may have that wrong. But Julie Duffy-Dillon, wonderful resource for positive non-diet PCOS stuff. Happy to talk about it a little bit more with you, Hannah, if you'd like to reach out.
Great, thanks, Claire. And just one other question before we finish up was how common, like how normal is this for women to have body image issues postnatally? Is there, I don't know if you have statistics or...
The one of the stats that I shared in the health professional education session was one study found that their sample group of women, over 3/4 of those women, it was like 76.5% maybe, reported prior to pregnancy that they wanted to be in a smaller body. So it is incredibly common. I would say that every single one of my clients comes to me with a level of body dissatisfaction. That can be very extreme in the case of people that might present with eating disorders, where their concern or their valuation about weight and shape is so consuming, or it can be people who just don't really love their body and don't feel great about it, but it's there in every single one of the people that comes to see me. Incredibly common. So you're not alone in feeling this. It is a shared experience, and if you could take away one thing from today, it would be that you feeling bad about your body is in no way an indicator that there's anything wrong with your body. You feeling bad about your body is because we live in a society that encourages us to feel bad about our body. We have all pressure from the billion-dollar diet industry that wants us to feel crappy about ourselves, because that keeps us engaged in their products and consumerism. Also, if I were to quickly put my feminist hat on, which I know not everyone's cup of tea, but if we think about, if we were to divert all of the energy and attention that we currently spend internally on our struggles with our body and not feeling well and hating ourselves, imagine if we were to redirect that collectively, what could we achieve? In certain systems' best interests to keep women occupied with this body satisfaction. We don't benefit from this. So you're asking yourself the question, who benefits from me feeling bad about my body? I can guarantee you it is not you. It's someone else.
Yep. Agree. Claire, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Like I said, I'm going to add Claire to the group so everybody can benefit from asking questions in the future. And if there's anything that comes up in future things, I'll tag Claire if I think that she could be a help for adding to that. Remember, you can go and see Claire in Fremantle, or if you live elsewhere, Claire can probably give a recommendation of somebody who works in the same way as her. I'll go after we finish up and post this video. Claire and I will make sure that we put all the links. I've made a little links here. The link about health behaviours, 300 pounds and running, Julie Duffy or something, food piece. We'll link all of those after so that everybody can follow up with this. So thank you, Claire. It really I love talking to you about this and seeing how this all fits into the whole. FitRight is like the movement side of it, and the pelvic floor rehab side of everything, and then I feel like there's this big piece of the puzzle that you bring to it all as well. So
thank you for having me. Thank you. And love to connect with you if you have questions or want to get in touch, or anything else you want to add.
Sounds good. Thanks, Claire.
Bye.